What do Alex and Tim from Love is Blind have in common between their dimensional love archetypes? So they have, it's looking like two out of the four in common. The first dichotomy is actually different. Alex would be independent versus Tim being interdependent. What do you think about that?
I agree. I
Yeah.
mean, just based off of how he's acting, it seems like he really wanted their lives to be intertwined. Versus she seems very independent. Yeah.
It's funny. I was just thinking to myself, this does actually remind me of me and my boyfriend, where he's a T, he's interdependent, I'm independent, and even that conversation, like that argument that they had around like, oh, you didn't answer my text quick enough. Like it's like, yeah, that definitely we've had that argument. We didn't break up because of it, but it's like that has been. I think that's something that could clash when it comes to like somebody who's interdependent wants that check in, wants that immediate pickup of a phone call versus somebody who's like, la di da, I'm living my life, you're living yours, we're gonna meet back up with each other at the end of it all, you know? Um,
Agree.
so there's that. Then the next dichotomy is where they both actually do come together on, but I think they overcooked here is pragmatic versus dreamer. They were both very pragmatic to the point
Very.
feel like, and this is where sometimes the shadow side of pragmatism, you can fit, if you find exactly the checkbox that you're looking for on paper, you could miss that, like, is there really even any chemistry here at all? And like, I think they both were like, you remind me of my sister, you remind me of my dad,
My dad, where I'm
let
at.
we're matched, you know, and it's like, it's not that simple. Do y'all even like each other? Do you know each other?
For real. Yeah, it didn't even seem like I didn't feel. I mean, it's not up to like me, obviously, but I just didn't see chemistry.
No, I didn't see any chemistry,
Oh,
even in the pods. Outside
yeah.
the pods, they were both getting on each other's nerves. Like
Uh,
it
I
just
didn't see that at all.
there was no chemistry, and you know,
Mm,
it's again overcooking. Like Dreamers
yeah,
was overcooked. Like all they go off of is chemistry and no compatibility. But it's like on the other end of the spectrum, it's like you can't just go off of what you see like on the cover of a book. You got to open it up. Okay.
I agree. I agree.
So both overcooked on the pragmatic side. Where they differ, what again is on this dichotomy of centered versus anxiousness. Tim definitely on the anxious piece and like completely overthought and overstimulated and over reacted himself out of this relationship. Like genuinely, the like even just watching that scene back of Alex eating the food, like, yeah, babe, what do you want to talk about? And he's like, I never want to speak or talk to you again. Like, whoa. I mean, if that wasn't a definition for her being centered and in her own space, in her own body, versus like him being anxious and like passive aggressive toward her, it's like it was just a lot. It was a lot.
He's a lot. Like he's a lot. I'm. I mean, at the beginning, I was like, oh, I don't know if Alex is she into him? Like, is there even chemistry? He seems like he's trying a little bit more than her. Whatever. I just didn't feel chemistry. But I
Right.
think from both ends, they just like you said, somebody like my sister, somebody like my dad. But even after this reunion, especially, I'm just like, Tim, bro, relax. Oh my goodness. He's a lot. So I think that definitely on the anxious side, and she's much more like centered
Yeah. He was
and
so
trying to make the like work the difference. She's like, you need to communicate this with me. And he's like, well, if I need to communicate this, then I don't want to be with a person where I'm communicating this to. And it's like, bro, you're gonna be in for a rude awakening, whoever you're with.
no, honestly, because like let him get paired with an anxious person paired with an anxious person. Woo, that's just a whirlwind of emotional roller coaster with him
Yeah.
especially. You know, it's like you have got like you can't mind read. Like I said, I tell that to my boyfriend all the time. Again, me centered him anxious. I'm like, I cannot read your mind. You're gonna have to say it out loud.
Yeah.
We can move on from there. You got to know what is your feelings versus me because he just kept on trying to make it seem like his feelings were something that she was ultimately responsible for. And don't get me
Agree.
wrong, like of course we impact each other, we should be as empathetic as possible, but she can't be empathetic to the point of knowing to read your mind and what's going to make you react in some sort of way. She couldn't know, and I don't think she shouldn't have known. I'm so glad she gave us the timeline of like, I worked from X to Y, we talked from B to C, and I needed to nap for an hour before I went to go to work again. It's like, yeah. Like, I'm a
Yeah,
girly. I'm a nap warrior. I
I
go off,
know.
sis.
I
Okay.
know. I
So no.
know.
The last piece that they both were on again, where I feel like they were kind of overcooking here too, was it's emotion instability versus fun and stimulation. I think they were both on the emotion stability part. I think they both really liked this idea of this experiment kind of being in a form of an arranged marriage where it's like, you want me, I want you, we're gonna be together forever. And I mean, that's cool. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. And honestly, I do um think that these types of shows like Love is Blind or Married at First Sight, while they're wild in one regard, I do think they kind of speak toward this one in our community, the Black community, I mean, where it's like, can we have a little bit of arrangement here where two people who have similar value sets just want to like be with each other? I just, I don't know. I don't think that was necessarily bad for them. I do think that made them kind of rush into something that they just simply did not have any chemistry over.
I agree. If anything, I feel like Tim's is definitely on the stability emotion, and I think with a different person, Alex could have been also on the fun side, just based
Hmm.
off of her person. I don't know, just I guess because I've like checked out her Instagram and I see how she is. I'm like, I feel like she could fall into that, but it is still more emotion and stability. And yeah, I think they just were just too much on like one side.
Yeah.
Like, there was no like balance, and
Yeah.
there was just not a lot of chemistry. So yeah,
Yeah,
no.
I feel like whereas Taylor and Garrett are the exact same love archetype and that works for them, I feel like both Alex and Tim need someone a little bit different for themselves to balance out that energy versus like compounding it and then clashing.
I
Um,
agree. Or at least a balance where it's like, you know, with some things like they're both so to the other side. Like there's no and like there's like we weren't confused like the other couples where we're like, huh, I wonder what they could be when it comes to, independent versus like I don't know. I feel like it was more certain for them. And I wish I was a little bit more like, oh, I had trouble deciding because
yeah,
maybe that could have helped, but they were so far left or right. It was just, yeah, it's a
there
lot.
was no bipartisanship, and they were both so stubborn in who they were. It's
Oh
just
my gosh.
so hard.
Especially with Tim. Ah, he needs to. I don't want to tell him what to do, but meditation can help because, oof,
Girl, tell him.
woof, like he says, yeah.
Tell him and
Okay.
tell us. Speaking of Tim, his four dichotomies would make him the devoted, which means desiring commitment and intertwined lives with their partners, values emotional closeness, support, and reliability versus excitement and idealism, and chooses long term partners based on practical compatibility.
Correct. There's nothing wrong with that. Like,
Oh,
obviously, we have people like Garrett and Taylor who are practical, like we're not saying that, but it's just like he's so practical.
that's it. He's like, you need to fit this checklist or get on. Okay. Um,
Literally, and I never want to see you again if you don't fit this checklist.
when she said that he acted like she killed his dog, I was like, yes. Like,
Literally.
what? So, speaking of Alex, her archetype would be the realist. Practical and realistic, seeks stability and emotional fulfillment in love, but also desires an independent life outside of her relationship, navigates romance with rationality and calm. I felt like that's what.
It's very her. She was so calm throughout the whole thing. Just that argument, her like eating the wings and just being calm, iconic.
So iconic. It was so funny because she talked about how she used to be like a yeller or whatever, and it's like, I mean, I don't know. Tim just felt like the type of person to like wind somebody up, but like even then, it was like with and maybe it's just because I was on camera, but it was like, girl, you kept your composure. I would have been like, but huh? I would have been Marissa, which I feel like I really am.
Yeah, honestly, don't put me on TV. Like if I ever come to you and say I'm going on a reality TV, you have to stop me.
I'm like,
Because the internet will come for me. I know it. I will not be the person that they're praising. Like maybe like a couple more years of like therapy and practice. But I was looking at some of these girls and I was like, I would do the same thing. Somebody doesn't know how to boil water. That's crazy. I don't know what I would do. Okay. Anyways,
oh my
but
god,
don't watch a reality TV show.
no, honestly.